My Dad's Podcast, where me and my dad podcast. What's up, Mr. Jones?
What's up, Mr. Jones? How you doing?
I'm sick.
Oh, that's not good. That's not good. I want everybody to know that you had a successful comedy show that you produced.
Was it successful?
Oh yeah. Everyone who came had a wonderful time. That's how I judge success by how the people after the show reacted to it.
I judge success by how much did I make from it, net value.
Well, I judge success by how much experience I got from it.
I feel like I'm getting too old to be still trying to gain experience and stuff. I need to be doing things that's making me millions. I realized in the last week that I'm probably going to be a millionaire soon. But I just want it to be tomorrow.
Oh, well, I think all things come in due time. Yeah,
Can you get in the microphone some more?
You have to really pay the cost. Pay the cost to be the boss, as they say.
I feel like I've been paying too many costs already. So for the people that don't know, I'm from Palm Beach, and lately there's been a lot of noise going on around Palm Beach in the news. Did you ever get a chance to look into this situation with the football player and his girlfriend?
No. Ever since you told me about it, I wanted to look it up, but it sort of slipped my mind. But from my understanding, that young brother lost his cool, and now he's in a lot of trouble because he didn't know how to walk away from this young lady.
Yeah, you probably should have looked it up because that's actually not what happened at all. So I did a little bit of further digging. I'll pretty much explain the situation to you. So there's this woman who was allegedly married.
Okay.
She's dating him and decides to go through his phone, finds that he's talking to another girl, FaceTimes the girl, they get in an argument. Now, it's agreed amongst both parties that he never physically assaulted her. There's video of her on the Ring camera physically assaulting him, though. So they get into their little argument, their little spat. She leaves, says, I'm going to get my brother to come shoot your house up. And then she sends her brother a text message that says, can you please go shoot his S word up? Her brother shows up to the house.
With some friends.
Yes. Oh man, I'm trying to think about how to put all this information into the proper context the right way. I'm gonna get upset while I'm talking about it.
But if they showed up to the house with some friends and him and the friends had weapons.
Yes.
And so the brother ended up getting killed, from my understanding.
So what happens is his name's Travis Rudolph. He shows up to his front door after people banging on his door after midnight. After he had just been told people were coming to shoot his house up. And he comes out, and it's her brother who he recognizes, and then 3 other men who he doesn't recognize. So he turns to the brother to be like, what's up? And before he gets the word up out of his mouth, somebody else swing on him. Now they start jumping him. So his brother comes out to help. Now him and his brother is getting jumped while his mom's like basically telling the people like, yo, you're on camera, because they're in front of the Ring camera.
Right.
And situation just continues to escalate more and more and more. Eventually, the guy flashes a gun, so Travis goes in the house and grabs his gun that he had put by the front door. And then there's still more fighting and stuff like that. Somehow, it leads up the street. I believe his brother ran up the street for something. And then so he goes, and he follows up the street. And the guys get into a car. He sees the weapons aimed out of the car as the car starts driving back in his direction. So he opens fire. If I'm not mistaken, it was like 39 shots, they said, that he let off, and ends up killing the brother, then gets arrested for that. And then he spends the next 2 years in court basically defending himself for murder. And then he was eventually acquitted of all charges.
Oh, okay. I'm surprised. I'm surprised though. Normally they want to quit you when you come out the door like that. And if they were going to get in the car, even if I don't know, he's lucky he got acquitted.
So you think if somebody comes to your house after you were told they were coming to shoot your house up, they jump you, then they get in a car and aim a gun at you. How do you think I think that's where I want to go. What do you think he should have done differently?
Well, me, because I'm from a different age range. I'm from a different time, and I would have tried to get in the house, and if they'd have came back to the door, that same gun I had by the door, then I'd have made it start the talking. But if they jumped me and my brother and left, less than they went down the street at his brother, now that's something totally different. Because if he went down the street after his brother, now I'm going down the street with my heat, and I'm gonna make the speaker speak.
Um, what do you, so you don't think that them being in their car driving towards you with guns pointed is enough for you to shoot at them?
Well, if they're coming at him with gun drawn in the car and he's outside and he can't retreat, the first thing I would do is start the shooting too. But my thing is, the first chance I got to get to safety, and my life was no longer in danger, they had to come back to the door again for me to bust them up. But
So what if they just came back to the door shooting already? Like didn't come knock on the door the next time, just came to the door shooting, like how because they were driving towards him with guns out.
well, he's justified now to shoot back, and if everybody get killed, they get killed.
And you think he should have went in the house, and his brother and his mom being outside with armed assailants?
No. Everybody should have retreated back into the safety of the house. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not giving the guys who came there a pass. They got exactly what they should have got. They should have got their butt knocked off. My thing is, if they'd have jumped him and he had that gun on him, when they jumped him, he could have killed all of them. And I'm thinking he justified 100%. Now, you may have missed it when he went inside to get the gun. Was they still jumping his brother?
Yeah, he came outside to his brother being jumped while his mom's screaming that they're on camera.
Now he had his gun.
Yes.
So that right there, while his brother was getting jumped, I'd have capped all of them.
I mean, I don't know if you could. In court, he said that he didn't shoot at that specific time because his brother was there as well. Like not everybody is a marksman in the way that they could, shoot a apple off of somebody's head without necessarily hitting their head. Like he didn't want to risk hitting his brother.
And I can understand that. I understand that he wouldn't take that chance. I'd have fired a couple in the air though, for him to get off my brother. And probably then, once they did get off him, I know I'd have had anger in me to the point to where I would have wanted to put something hot in him.
He had multiple opportunities, and this is me speaking my opinion. He had multiple opportunities to where he could have escalated it unnecessarily, and he didn't. Like, and maybe in my description, I skipped over certain parts where like he showed a lot of restraint, in a variance of different moments to where I'd answer my door with my gun. You don't do that, and this is my problem. Altercations with women, they work a certain way, and then altercations with men work a certain way. And sometimes men feel like they can insert themselves into an altercation that involved a woman and get the woman treatment because they're coming on behalf of the woman. When you insert grown men into a situation, he could have got killed while getting jumped
They could have hurt him severely. They could have killed him
the first time he saw a gun, they could have just went to shooting. Like, and my thing is, we have the luxury of retrospect now to where we know exactly how the situation went and everything like that. But in the midst of that situation, I don't think it's fair to me that I'm finna buy a house. You could just show up to my house with guns, escalate the situation that because that whole me coming outside to be like, yo, what's up? No, that would, and I have a bit of a temper, but like enough had been communicated already for me to feel like my life was in danger from you. Now my thing is, the only thing I probably would have done differently than Travis is, I would have pressed the button on my phone to speak to the people at the door, and I would have, in the calmest of tones, let them know to leave my property immediately. And I would have made it exorbitantly clear that this is my home, this is my private property, and you are an intruder trespassing on my private property. I don't know that calling the police would work because doors are only as stable as doors can be. So in the time it might take police officers to get to my house, you could have kicked in my door where I'm in here with my brother and my mother, and I've already been told that you are coming to murder us, that you are coming to shoot everything up, and then you showed up. And that's the thing. See, as a woman, you can yell, "Oh, I'm gonna get somebody to come shoot your stuff up," and it's like you're only so harmless to a certain extent. But as a grown man, when you decide to insert yourself into that situation, I think that, and I understand, I'm frustrated right now at like explaining the situation. So I don't want you to think I'm upset with you, but what's up?
Nothing.
But I understand that you said you're not giving these guys a pass for what they did.
No, I'm not.
However, I think he tried everything in his power to give them a pass. So I don't think that it's a fair criticism to say that he should have handled the situation like better. How you?
Well, I'm not saying that he should have handled it better, or he should have handled it any differently. What I'm saying is that if my girl come to me and say, "Hey, I'm calling my brother. My brother's gonna come back to the house and he's gonna shoot up the place."
Oh, I forgot to mention, while they were jumping him, they said, "I'm on demon time. You're gonna die today." While he's getting jumped.
Well, see, the thing is that they would have never had the opportunity to jump me because other than having my stuff at the door, my stuff would have been with me.
But he had it in a bag, and then when he heard the knocking on the door, he brought it to the door, and then he wanted to go outside because he felt like he could de-escalate the situation. But before he could get 2 words out of his mouth, he got punched in his left orbital socket.
Well, my thing is he was trying to be the very good guy. He was trying to be a good guy, which is good. Florida's a stand your ground state. And in Florida, if you run up in my house and talking about, you already got the news, you're going to shoot me up, you're going to hurt me up, I'm coming out there with the mine in my hand or in my pocket. And that's going to de-escalate right there when they see that I ain't out there joking. And if they don't already have their stuff in their hand pointed, I'm letting the police come and clean them up.
Okay, so I agree with you, by the way,
because that's what Florida is, a stand your ground state, and you can knock a joker off who's where you're in danger, that has you in danger.
My thing is, I hear what you say. I know how I would have handled that situation, and I feel like he was. I just, with him particularly, he did so much to try to avoid actually shooting somebody who was already being violent towards him. And the fact that his mother was there, if I'm home with mommy, like, I just don't see room for criticism with the way that he had handled that situation.
Well, I'm not criticizing him. He did well. He did better than I would have done. My only thing is that if my mother and my brother's in the house, I'm gonna be in the house with them. Now I got my stuff, and they would have to come back to the house. And then I know I don't have a choice.
They wouldn't have had, if it's me, they wouldn't have had a chance to leave. And it's like, what's frustrating to me is me knowing how I would have handled that situation, because I'm not a trained professional to de-escalate situations. I haven't gone through the police academy or none of that type of stuff. All I know is I bought this house and I have been threatened to somebody to come to my home. And if you just did that little threat, or if you as a woman said, all right, I'm going to do whatever, I'm not taking you seriously. But at the point where it's 4 grown men at my door, I don't think I should. Let me preface this. His dad was similar to you, a hard-working man who's not involved in the streets, not like gangster. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because you know I'm a thug. You know I'm a thug, so I understand you say that, man. Because I've been a thug my entire life, man.
His dad was working at a club on an AC unit, and I guess somebody in a different room was moving a gun. This happened the week of him getting drafted to the NFL, probably, I want to say 4 years before this incident. And the person's moving their firearm in a completely different room, and it accidentally discharges, hits his dad in the neck. His dad's dead. His dad has just been a victim of gun violence completely unnecessarily. And I think prefacing it with that is like, I I don't think that we're all the way fair to black men in the way that we should handle conflict, considering whatever we may have been through, whatever our particular traumas were. And that's my thing. Because there was and when I went to first look this stuff up, this was while he was still on trial. Because, like I said, he's from Palm Beach, so obviously I'm seeing a lot of people from Palm Beach talking about it and things like that. So I went to go look it up, and the first thing I seen was her on the stand justifying her text message, and she was talking about, when she said come shoot his stuff up, she didn't mean any of his property or himself. She just I don't even, and it was such a whataboutism to her tone to duh, of course, she had an attitude while she's explaining why she didn't think that was a serious thing to do. And then on top of that, she never sent another text message like, hey, I didn't necessarily, I may have been misunderstood. Let me communicate differently what I'm trying to get across to you.
The thing that's blowing my mind behind this whole thing is that this girl wasn't charged with something. She started the whole ball rolling. Everything that happened because of what she did. She had to call her brother and her friends and all those things. And you're telling me that never once they actually tried to prosecute her and put her in jail for causing that whole thing.
Yeah. I meant to pull up some names, but there is a lot of women right now that have had sex with young men under the age of 18, got pregnant, and went to jail if they did go to jail for just a few months, or just got probation, or didn't have any real legal consequences. I think that we as a society are starting to breed a generation of women that have accountability problems. And I think that women, from my experience, have always struggled more with accountability than men. And I think that it's because men typically have physical repercussions, even on a social level, to doing things wrong. I am more at risk of being beat up for my actions than you are. And as you develop into an adult from a small child, because even as a small child, when they tell you, you can't hit girls, when girls find that out, the next day they go to school and they hit as many boys as they can. And that's even prepubescent, before we even have too much of a difference in strength. It's just, that's how you teach young men from a young age. You can't hit women growing up. So you can't tell a little boy, you can hit girls, up until you start seeing some hair on your balls. Then all of a sudden it's different. No, you have to train them young. And I feel like, to the same token, there is nothing that really trains women to have accountability growing up. So these types of things happen, and we as a society, we look at that and we don't really blame women for what women should be blamed for.
Well, I agree with everything you just said there, that we don't hold women accountable for some of the crazy things they do, because most women know when they strike that man that they're physically not strong enough to beat that man or whoop that man, and that if that man react to them and turn his powers on them and started the whooping on them, there's no way they can stop him from doing what he want to do. And that's what the law looks at. The law looks at the fact that you just physically too strong, but yet and still they don't hold women responsible for not hitting that physically too strong man that you can't whoop.
And the thing is, it's like when they're hitting the man, they use this idea that if you hit me back, I'm going to call the police. And to me, I think I used this example when I was speaking to you earlier, because you see it a lot with college students. They'll just recklessly cross the street, and it's like, you'll be like, hey, you should probably look both ways for traffic. And it's always like, if they hit me, they paying my tuition. If they hit me, they paying my tuition. And it's like, that is only said by a person who's never actually been hit by a car before. Because if you get hit by a car, you may understand that, yeah, I could get whatever monetary value in exchange for it, but I was still just hit like that. I still have to deal with the physical consequences of being hit by a car. And I think that A lot of the times, just because we preach so much that there should not be any physicality between men and women, and then women, they're only capable of so much physicality, which I want to say I don't think that men should be able to hit women, but I think that we should acknowledge more how different men and women are. Like this, to the same token that it's like I will look a grown man in his face and say, hey, if a woman is hitting you, then you can't hit her back. You can't match her force, because you are now doing something wrong. I think that women need to preach to women that same difference in men and women, that like, hey, you cannot conduct yourself as a man all the time. If you have a problem that you want to physically handle with a man, you still have to understand that you're a woman. Because see, me, if somebody gets me mad enough to where I feel like their stuff needs to be shot up, I'm not sending a text message to nobody else. I'm going to do it myself. You know what I'm saying? Or not even to take it that far, I'm going to physically fight them myself. And if I get punched in the face by a grown man while I'm doing it, I'm still doing it. And it's a certain level of accountability in your actions that men just have to naturally have, that women they are lacking so much, and it's becoming more and more troubling as we start to have more and more of a generation that want to carry themselves as men, just lacking that accountability.
Well, that's because we don't train young men or young women anymore. The Bible tells you to train them up in the way that they should go and everything. But yet and still, even fathers, they don't explain to their daughters what you just explained. That young man that you're dating, no matter how upset you get with him, you're not physically strong enough to beat him. So don't put your hands on him.
And that's
what the fathers do in their stupidity is tell them, well, yeah, if he put his hands on you, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And he comes there and she comes there in your face thinking, well, my father's going to do this, my father's going to do that. That's why so many brothers, like this girl brother, so many fathers are dead, because people ain't going to treat you the same way they treating your daughter. They may give your daughter a pass, but they're not going to give you a pass.
And that's the thing, because to them, their dad's Superman. Their brother's Superman. They've seen their brother and dad lift weights before. They've seen their brother wrestle. Their brother is real, real tough to them. Their dad is real, real tough to them. And they don't recognize, to me, I'll step in front of him at the corner store and buy my stuff without even looking back. He not a tough guy to me like how he's a tough guy to you. He doesn't strike fear in me like how he strikes fear in you. He's not imposing to me. If anything, you are way more capable of handling a situation where I get angry than he is, because I know that you have, for one thing, society, you have the law, you have so much to defend you to where that will hold me back. But then when you insert this grown man into this situation, I'm excited now. And I don't want to say excited because we're still kind of halfway talking about this Travis Rudolph thing. And like I say, he handled himself with such extreme constraint. But it's like, for me, it's like, oh, I wanted to take out my anger on somebody and I couldn't take it out on you. Thank you for bringing a man into the situation to work on your behalf to get that. And it's so frustrating to me, because I've heard it a million times. Like, oh, I'll call this person, I'll call that person, call them. Like, well, they're soft to me.
Well, the frustrating part to me is the fact that this so-called law didn't hold her accountable for what she did. Now, her brother's dead because of her, but yet and still she's out and about every day, probably still in the clubs, looking for somebody who has some means, because evidently she don't have the knowledge or the ability to make her own money or her own means. And that's what really upsets me, is that wasn't held accountable for what she did. And that same brother that she said she loves so, now he's gone forever.
New Op packing the air, this gas or what? He'd still be alive right now if you niggas ain't gas him up. I seen a video of Travis Rudolph dancing to that song after he got acquitted, and I was like, yeah. He knew what he was doing, because that's the truth. That's the truth. Like, so, and it's not, and this goes beyond women. This just goes into people having the people around them's best interest at heart in general. There's so many guys that would still be alive right now if somebody else didn't gas them up. Have them thinking that, oh yeah, nah, I could do this, I could do that. I got the support of my boys behind me. What was his three friends telling him? What were his three friends telling him on the ride there? If they were good friends, they would have been telling him like, yo man, like, we showing up to another person's house. Like, we know he has the means to have protection at his house. Like, maybe if he was abusive to your sister, maybe we should just call the police.
Yeah. My thing would be there. Hey, brother, we on our way over to your married sister's boyfriend's house. We on our way over there. Don't go over there, man, and start no stuff and everything. Just go over there and find out what's going on and talk to this guy. And that's probably what Travis thought. He came over there just to talk about the situation.
Because that would have been the intelligent thing.
Yeah.
Even if your sister says, please go shoot his stuff up, and you felt that you needed to go over there and try to do something about the situation, any logical thinking adult, any adult in the room would have been like, yo, let's try to piece this up, talk about it. And like you say, your married sister, that's what made me so mad. This whole altercation started because she went through his phone and was upset about infidelity. When you're married, you have a husband, regardless of if whatever y'all situation may be with your husband, you have a husband and you have the audacity to escalate this situation in this way. And like you say, she gets to just go on about her day. She gets to just go on about her life as if she hasn't caused this extreme problem amongst these black men.
But my thing is also this: the so-called friend that her brother brought there too, who stole him. 3 of them. Who stole him? The first one who threw the punch. Why he's not in jail? Why he's not doing some time? He escalated that whole situation, and he probably somewhere in jail. He may not have went to jail for that, but because he's stupid, he gonna end up in jail either way. But he should have been the one that should have been at the morgue.
I forgot to do that last time I turned the camera on. And my thing is, it's just it's immaturity to an extent that is irreprehensible. Like I don't feel like enough was. Hold on. I don't feel like as much attention should have been given to whether or not this was self-defense. Like, that's my thing. Why is he sitting here in court for 2 years debating on whether or not it was self-defense, when people showed up to his house with threats, that he had knowledge of, and all of these types of things? And it's like, maybe if he had gone to law school before and he had gone through the police academy and he had been trained in a variance of different ways, like all these police officers that we don't hold to those exact same standards, then maybe there's an argument that he should have known a better thing to do. But for me, it's troubling because I would have answered my door with my gun pointed after I've talked to them through because most of the time, if you have a Ring doorbell, you also have a speaker attached to it. I would let them know I would appreciate it if you grown men would leave my property right now. And if I had to answer that door, what's up wouldn't even been coming. It would have, boom, kick the door open. Didn't I tell y'all to leave my stuff? That would have been where I would have been with it. And it's frustrating to know that he would be in jail for the rest of his life had he handled the situation like that. But that's, in my mind, that's defending yourself. That's self-defense. Why did I buy this gun? Well, I bought it so if people did exactly what you did, I would have it as a form of protection. And then us in this country that values our right to bear arms so much more than every other country in the entire world, we value it more than every other country in the entire world, is now telling this person, oh, well, I don't know if you had the right to use your gun at these people who came to your house with the intent to murder you. Then even while you're getting assaulted, they're telling you they're going to kill you. Like,
Well, my thing is, I don't understand why this guy even went to court. Also, when Florida is known for this, you stand your ground. They kill young black men all the time, and then they kill black women all the time. And they say because they were standing their ground, because they were afraid. Now this guy's getting jumped and kicked and everything, and he gonna shoot up the person who's hurting him. And now all of a sudden, he wasn't supposed to stand his ground.
So this is what legal jargon says, is that the fact that when the people were retreating, the people had retreated to their car.
Right.
That's what invalidated the whole stand your ground
Well,
side of it.
That's true though.
Well, no, because my thing is, you don't know what I'm going to my car for. You don't know what my intent is. And my thing is, it's troubling when I gotta wait for them to be shooting at me before I shoot at them. Cause see, they could hit me dead in my aortic valve with the first shot. That's in your heart. They could shoot me dead in my heart with the first shot. So I don't think it's fair to have this expectation. And then what frustrates me so much, and like I said, I'm from Florida, so I was very well aware of this other situation when it happened, is I listened to the 911 call from George Zimmerman about Trayvon Martin.
Right,
I listened to the lady on the phone saying, "Don't follow this man."
Yeah.
The police on the phone telling this cracker, "Don't follow this man. Do not follow him. Don't do that." And him still following. You can hear Trayvon's voice on the call saying, "Yo, man, why are you chasing me?" before the altercation starts up. And then he still get to just walk around free. He didn't even go to jail for 2 years. He didn't have to deal with none of this stuff because that's how everybody learned about stand your ground laws. That's where most people learned about them from the Trayvon Martin situation. So what I want to know is, how is it, what changed? That's what I want to know. And it's so frustrating to me. It's so frustrating because when I think about the whole racial dynamic in this country, that 9/11 call plays in my head, even outside of the situation, quite often. Like, you can hear the lady say, "Don't follow him, don't chase him, don't do that." And then you can hear this young boy on the phone saying, "Why are you chasing me?" And this man is still alive. This man, not that he's still alive, he's still out of jail, because I'm getting to the point in life where I don't feel like the retaliation for bad stuff needs to always be, you got to go get back. Like, no, sometimes the police need to do their freaking job the right way outside of their racial biases. That's what it needs to be. And it makes me so angry. It makes me so angry to think about the fact that he got away with that, yet Travis Rudolph doesn't even get the stand your ground law to affect him properly. Because the people, they started going back to their car, regardless of if they were literally leaning out of their car with weapons coming back towards you. Like, and there was so many different moments that you could pinpoint in there where he could have just been reckless. And I still don't think he should have went to jail. Like, even if he was reckless at every single moment that he could have been, I don't think he should have went to jail while on his property, while having these people had come to his property to cause these problems. And it's so frustrating to me. It's so frustrating to me.
Well, my thing is, and I, I think they gave him a bad hand. I think they did that. They shouldn't have charged him. They shouldn't have went through all those problems. But to not charge that young lady and to not charge the guy who hit him, I don't understand how you can say the law is fair in any way.
Because it's not. And that's why I get so frustrated when I start talking to you about the way things are, and you're like, "Oh, well, no, they should be this way." When I first brought this up to you, you was telling me that, "Oh, there's no way that he's on house arrest for this, that he had to deal with all this. It was obviously self-defense. They should have let him go on the same time." And I'm like, "Yo, I'm telling you that that's not what happened. None of this stuff, it works how it's supposed to work as it relates to black people."
And I always try to make it seem like the law should work that way, when I know from previous experiences it never works that way. The law never works the way it should work when it comes to dealing with people of color.
Let's lighten the mood up a little bit. Zion's having a baby.
Well, Zion got a stripper or somebody too saying that he might be having another one, right?
I don't know if that's exactly what happened. Did you hear something I didn't hear? What I did hear is that out of the woodworks, porn stars started coming out genuinely angry that he was having a baby. Well, first it started coming out all different stories of his baby mother's past endeavors, which I thought was in bad taste, even though it's relevant. But I thought it was in bad taste that it's like, all right, he posted a celebratory picture with this woman saying, "Hey, I'm about to have a child," and everybody's like, "Yo, we got videos of her fighting. We got her OnlyFans. We got all types of stuff on this woman." And it's like, But then when other porn stars start coming out, there's one in particular. Her name's Mariah Mills. When she found out about this, she was heated. She might still be tweeting about it. I'm talking about, went on a rant of everything, posting screenshots of him, talking about how bad he was in bed and yada, 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 all this, that, and the third. Going crazy. This woman has to be at least 15 years older than Zion. Thought that just because that they were sexually involved, that was supposed to be her.
My thing is, I don't know if the young lady who's having the baby for him still in that life or what.
Yeah, she is.
But my thing is, I'm
talking about Mariah Mills. I don't know about the woman who he's having the child with.
For the life of me, I don't understand why these guys who are in the top 2% of men in this country just would even go out like that. But money don't make people, I guess.
I think that the problem is it's a certain level of discipline that these guys don't have, to where it's like, with Zion specifically and porn stars, I think maybe we need to psychoanalyze like what is the emotional attachment that's coming to, because pornography addiction is a huge thing, particularly among men of my generation and younger, because it's way more accessible. But like, what emotional attachments do these men have towards these porn stars that they're pleasuring themselves to? Because like, there's a certain mental like aspect to when you have sex with a woman to completion that brings you and like makes you feel closer to her. When you have sex with a woman, you probably like her more, is essentially what I'm saying. But like, it's a chemical thing that happens within your brain that like that draws your attraction to her. So like, what is it? Because he's not the first quote unquote high value man. He's way more than the top 2% earners. He'd be in the top some 0.00 whatever percent of earn. He's a legitimate multi-millionaire. Like he has a contract worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And it's just like, what is it that brings men like that towards women who have shown in the past that they have habits that might make them less than ideal romantic partners?
Well, my thing is, that's why these young mothers over the past 30 years been teaching their young daughters they don't need anything but their vagina in order to get a high value man, which is not true.
I think that it's gotten to the point to where back in the day they used to want to trap you, which they still want to trap you with a baby, or they used to want to tie you up emotionally to make you get married to them, and that will make your life easier. Nowadays they're just training women that it's like, all you got to do is just pop it for him 1 or 2 times, and yeah, he might not be with you forever, but he might spend $50,000 on you, and that's $50,000 a year. If you could get one man a year to do that for you, you've basically, you know what I'm saying? Like you could have him pay your rent off for the year, maybe, if you do the right thing for it. It's like, it's to the point where they don't even expect the relationships to build into anything of significance. It's just, if you can get what you can get from him, chances are you could get that quicker than if you go out and actually put in some sort of work for it. And I think that men with a certain level of money, they don't have the discipline to, first of all, realize what that's doing to society when I'm sitting here cashing out some people's whole paychecks on a woman, some people's annual paychecks on a woman that I don't even care about, that I got myself a girlfriend and I'm still going to go spend $60,000 on this woman, things of that nature. Like, she said something about he was giving her an allowance. I want to say like $100,000 I'm going to say a month, but I'm pretty sure she might have said a week. Whatever the case may be, like millions he's investing into this woman while you have other things going on. And there was a time where, all right, if a woman could get a man to spend that kind of money on her, chances are she had to have gotten him into some sort of monogamous relationship. But nowadays it's just, well, I have this money disposable, so I'm going to dispose of it in that particular way.
The thing is that those young men don't know the value of that disposable money. And a lot of them, once they get out of the game and everything, they're not living the way they could be living if they would have managed that money properly.
Exactly. So I'm turning 30 in about 2 months. I think I want to have a kid.
I would love for you to have a kid, but you're not ready. You're not ready for it.
Explain why.
I just don't think that you're ready for it. You think you're ready for a kid?
I just said I wanted to have a kid. So
Do you think you're ready for a kid? Having a kid and being ready for a kid. Do you think you're ready for a kid?
I'm ready for a kid in every way except for financially. Why do you say that I'm not?
I don't know, because you always that's what you bring up all the time. Finance. You're not financially stable here and there, and a lot of times, with kids, they need certain things.
I would make different life decisions. I think that's what people don't understand when they criticize people for the things that they do while they don't have children and make it seem as if that makes them incapable. I'm not talking about you specifically, but that makes them incapable of having children.
Because I would love to have a grandchild.
But I don't think people understand the decisions that I make them because I don't have a child. That's the thing, and you can't expect, not you specifically, but you can't expect for me to live my life to the constraints of you having a child when I don't. I think it's a bit nonsensical for you to hold me to the constraints of your lifestyle while I'm living mine. It's oh, you spend too much money on this thing. You don't be invested enough in this thing. So that's why you can't have a child. And it's maybe I spend this money on this thing because I don't have a child. Maybe I'm not overly invested in this thing because I don't have a child. My thing is, I know 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old boys that had a kid. Their kid's just fine. There's no way that you can convince me that those people were in a better position than I am currently back then at that moment.
No, well, probably wasn't, and everything. And anytime you have a excellent family structure, if you'd have had a kid when you were 16 or 17, do you think that child would have went liking?
No.
Because your mom and I would have never allowed our grandchild to go liking. Still wouldn't allow our grandkid to go liking.
So why can't I have a kid? You know why? You know my issue with having a child?
What's that?
You notice I didn't mention nothing about having a baby mama or a wife. They only come attached to these women. That's the problem, and it's so difficult in this generation of women to find a woman that is trying to prepare herself to be a legitimate mother.
Well, the thing is that you have to look at the women between 18 and 40 now. They're so busy doing everything else. And when 40 roll around and they realize, man, I don't have anything to show for it. And now the chances of me having a child is almost zilch at 40. And that's when they really start trying to be more understanding with men and more what they should have been from the very beginning.
The problem is that the women that are in their 40s that go to sleep every night and cry themselves to sleep because they don't have any relationships that mean anything for as familial or just in general, they wake up after crying themselves to sleep and tell these young girls to do the same things that they did. There is no, I'm at that age now to where if I was to have a conversation with somebody and be what's best for me, having a conversation with an older man, they wouldn't be oh, go out and sleep with as many women as you possibly can, dog them out. The same advice that my 16-year-old peers would give me when I was 16. I wouldn't be getting that advice from a 45-year-old man at age 30. At age 30, there's women who know what that leads to. There's 45-year-old women who know what the next 15 years are going to be like if you don't focus more on certain things that may not be as beneficial for as the attention you'll get from it, the fame you'll get from it. Might not even be the most fun things, but they will have you, they'll essentially feed your soul. Those types of things, these women aren't telling these women. They are just making sure that, get as much as you can from these men. Do these men horrible because these men will do you horrible, not even taking an accountability to the fact that, well, you only chose the men who were in a position to do you bad, but you turned down a lot of men who would have had you in a situation right now to where you were at least happy. He might not have made a tenth of what the man, but of what your baby daddy was making at the time when your baby daddy got you pregnant, but he wasn't even willing to give you 5% of what he got, and now he don't even have that no more because he made poor decisions like getting women like you pregnant. Women don't teach women the appropriate way to get a good man. Like they boil it all down to finances.
Well. The thing is that what these women are teaching these young women now, regardless of the women don't have to have anything. They're teaching the young men that they're teaching those young women. You want to find a man with 6 figures, 6 feet tall, and a 6-pack.
And that's cool. That's cool. But
what they're bringing to the table.
And women hate that question. Women hate that question so much. What do you bring to the table? What do you bring to the table? And it's like, I'm not going to say all women hate that question. The women who don't have an answer hate that question, because the reality of the situation, if you go to any man who thinks that he deserves a romantic partner and say, what are you willing to bring to the table? He will have an answer for you. And so go find a man who you like that answer and he likes yours. But the thing is, nobody is teaching them that, like, you have to bring substance. You have to have something substantial to bring to the relationship. And then they wonder why they can't find a man to be faithful to them. But it's like, if you think that all you have to bring is your physical appearance to the table, you got to be the most attractive woman in the world, because some other woman who sees the substance that you demand he brings to the table will come. And if she's more attractive to you, what makes him want to be with you still? Like, it's just, women in my generation have completely lost track of the fact that, like, men have to like you. They have to like you for some reason. There has to be some, and the thing is, they correlate.
Generally like you, not just want to sleep with you. They got to like you as a person.
Exactly. And they correlate so much of relationships. To finances. So then it's like, when a man says, what do you bring to the table? They're thinking that, oh, he's expecting of me to, like, pay for something or to fund something or to build, or they start thinking of the things that they want from men. And the reality of the situation is, the correct answer to that question is free 100% of the time. What do you bring to the table? I ain't gonna sleep with nobody else, and I'm not gonna make nobody else think they can sleep with me. Boom, that's a good answer. What do you bring to the table? I know how to talk to people in public. Boom, that's a good answer. What do you bring to the table? If you have some people to come over, I know how to be a good hostess. Boom, that's a good answer right there. What do you bring to the table? I know how to raise a child in a way that's not abusive. Boom, that's a good answer. You didn't spend a dime for none of that. But they hate that question so much, and it infuriates me beyond nothing, because if I were to hear a grown man say, oh, I'm upset because you asked what I bring to the table, I'd tell him, bro, you deserve to die alone. Like, the reality of the situation is, if you don't think you need to bring something to a relationship, you are going to either end up with the bottom tier of women, or you are going to die by yourself. And it's like I don't think women understand that we don't want the same things from y'all that y'all want from us. Like, and the thing is, if we did, relationships wouldn't work, because we have to bring those things to the table in excess to be with you in the first place. You having a good job not going to get you a 6-figure income man, because a 6-figure income man don't want no money from you.
Well, and the thing is, with a 6-figure income man who's in his 40s, he's looking for a young lady in her 20s, someone who he can actually mold, he can train to be what he wants them to be, to teach them how to be a good person, a good lover for them. And all those other things come. That's why
women will call you a creep for that sentiment. They'll say that you're trying to manipulate and groom a woman if you say that.
Well, that's exactly that. I'm not trying to say that. I'm saying that men want to groom women to be more or less what they want.
Grown women. You got to watch how you talk in today's day and age.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I say 25 and up. That's a grown woman.
But they will literally completely overlook the fact that you just said that and look at this 25-year-old woman like she's not a person who can make her own decisions on who she wants to be with, and be like, oh, well, no, you're just taking advantage of her because you want to build her up into a decent romantic partner, even though they do the same thing to all the way grown men.
No, those men who are older, who are established, who are making the 6 figures, who get those young ladies who are in their early 20s, late 20s, those women they go to school. They're very well-rounded women. It's just that those women hadn't been poisoned by society, by these women who are over 40 now, who felt they were all of that, they had everything, and now they ended up by themselves or with other 40-year-old women.
It's just, you're not allowed to speak on this type of stuff, and that's the problem, because women don't understand that when they talk about women like they're these damsel in distresses, like every single woman who's in a relationship with a man that might be older than them, or all this type, like they're so easily influenced. They don't understand that's an insult on these women's intelligence and integrity. They don't understand that maybe this woman, the same way how you want a stable man, the reality of the situation is, women, if you want a stable man, he's probably going to be 33 plus at least. Like, you're gonna have a very hard time finding a man his 20s,
fresh out of college, who has everything that they want.
The worst part is, I mean, that's a lot of the times when they're most attractive. So that's what attracts women to these like big name entertainer guys, these needle in a haystack type men. Like, they look on TV, they say, oh, well, this guy is 23 years old and he has all of this disposable income. That's the type of man I want. And
he's
it's
a baller. He's a baller.
And it's like, you got to understand that man is not going, first of all, emotionally, he's not going to be there for you all the way. But just on top of that, what is it about you, the woman who wants to argue, you don't even have to bring nothing to the table, that's going to make him monogamously be with you?
Well, like you said, I'm from a different generation, and us baby boomers, we see things a lot different than what I don't think I could have made it out here in this society that y'all living in. If God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, and worse things are happening here and now than it was back then, I'm just waiting on destruction.
The way I see it is, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to piss women off when I say this. Somewhere, they might not be in the West, but I've been telling you for a while, we going to Venice in a couple weeks, we're going to Europe, we're going to some other places. Somewhere in the world, these women do exist, and that's the thing. I had gotten to a point where I was like, you know what? I'm going to just take a step back from women until I'm financially able to manipulate them. Because that's the reality of the situation. I want to let me just make enough money to play y'all game. And that's the game that you guys are playing. That whole, I'm going to find some guy who's going to take advantage of me because he's going to have me in a situation where I'm dependent on him financially. And at that point, he could do whatever he wants to do. But now I've just realized that's less the case of how I want to do things. And like I was saying to you the other day, I only need one. Like, that's the thing. I look at like you call it, Sodom and Gomorrah burning all around me. I watch it happen every single day. I see all of the foolishness that's going on, and before I let it continue to get me to the point where I'm just like, oh, I'm completely over women, I don't need women, I realize you just need one. And it's like how I was explaining to you earlier. Women need men on the whole. They don't need a singular man, though. A woman can live her life and like function all the way throughout the entirety of her life from beginning to end without ever having a monogamous partner. That's a terribly lonely and sad life, but it's possible. Men don't need women on the whole. If I get one, the rest of them could disappear off the face of this earth, and it will not make my life any worse at all. That includes police women. That includes fire women. That includes women that fix cars. That includes women that fix pipes in the house if I need a plumber. Like, if I need somebody to construct the house itself. I think it's funny. I think it's funny how women will be like, oh, back in the day, men used to build houses. Back in the day, men used to build houses. I just want to ask them, like, who do you think is building the houses now? Like, do you think that guard has been passed on to women now, to where you have women?
You still only have a few women.
Like, men still build houses
into construction and things like that. Men are still building houses and still doing all those things. But I guess these young women are not looking. They're not looking out and looking at the world and seeing what's really going on. And if they were, they would see that men attitudes are changing, and they're changing drastically. And I don't know. They walking around with blinders on, because I see what's going on, and I'm old.
Men are becoming way more dangerous to women. And it's not in the way that it used to be, where it's physically dangerous. You see how I just described earlier that I was just like, well, I'm just going to make enough money to where I have a woman financially dependent on me, and then I can do whatever I want. You know what I'm saying? But like, that's kind of what y'all have pushed us to.
That's what they've created.
That's where y'all have pushed us to. Women, they want protection from people who have no say-so in the way that they behave, and that's just irrational. Like, if you want somebody to protect you, they're going to have some say-so in the way that you behave and the things that you do. Because, like, I can't have you going out telling people, oh, I'm going to have your stuff shot up, and then I bear the brunt of that, of the consequences, when I can't tell you, hey, maybe you should carry yourself a little less masculine. Maybe you shouldn't be out at the club two-hand pushing guys in the back just because I came with you and stuff like that, and then you just gonna turn around to me when it's time for protection if one of these guys start to act up. And it's like, I feel like similarly to the way that women have become more manipulative, women have found different ways to be abusive to men, I think men are becoming more feminine, and they're also finding different ways, ulterior ways to abuse women. And the thing is, I can't necessarily speak up as an advocate for women to tell men to not be that way, because then y'all will go after I do that, and then continue this system to where that seems to be the only option. It's like, women don't want a man who is going to be good to them. That's just the reality of the situation. It used to be where women were kind of simps to a certain extent. It's like, women have always talked their noise. It's always been, they don't want no scrubs and stuff like that. But then when they found a guy and they could tell that guy just, you feel me, just want to love you up and down. Women used to appreciate that. That man, he just, for some reason, he just think you look better than every girl in the world. That used to mean something to women, where women would want to build something with him, want to start a family with him. He might not be the richest. Okay, put a pin in that. He might not be the richest. He might not be the most attractive man in the world, but he just bring me flowers every Thursday. You know what I'm saying? That used to matter to women, and it doesn't. And it's like, I don't think women understand what a good woman can really do for a man. And it's like, they've been explained the fact that they are an asset, a good woman, which a lot of them aren't even good women, but like that, a good woman, and then they're all told that they're good. So they feel like a woman can be such an asset to them, but they don't really genuinely understand. You take a man that has a smidge of potential and you put a woman next to him who's going to water that garden, and it will be fruitful. Like the thing is, they want the house built already, but the house gonna be twice as big if you help me to build it. If you go find somebody that knows how to build a house right, and then you help him, and this is metaphorically speaking, not literal houses, but if you go find a man that guy that he might not all the way got it together, and you just sit there every night and tell him he'll be all right, you will be surprised how all right he will be. You would be surprised how all right he would be.
Oh, yeah. And that's the key. What I think women have forgot. If you go back to biblical days, if you go back to the very beginning, Eve was a helpmeet to Adam. Adam was not going to be anything without Eve helping him to achieve his maximum potential. And I don't know how women nowadays think that men going to be at their maximum potential without them.
And the thing is, not only without them, because they don't want to be there while you're building up the empire, but not only that, when you have your empire built and they decide that they want to come in and join, they only want to work as leeches. They just only want to give. They want to take, gimme. They don't want to cohabitate properly. They want for somebody who has enough to take care of themselves as well as other people to make them those other people that the person is willing to take care of. And most men who have the finances, who have whatever it may take in order to make the woman of their life as comfortable as possible without having to do very much work, they will. I would love to be able to just take care of a woman if she shows me that she's a good woman. But like, that's like like inflation. like this, we just don't live in a world where that's feasible for the average guy anymore. So y'all can't have certain expectations of just regular guys. And it's like what y'all are saying y'all want. Men aren't disagreeing with you because they don't want to give it to you. Men are disagreeing with you because A, it's not feasible, and B, y'all don't want to make the sacrifices that it takes to be that person who he wants to do it for.
And like, for instance, your mom and I worked and built everything that we have. And if we didn't make it, you think I would take what we've built together and give to another woman? Never. I would let her take everything, and the next woman who get me would have to be able to build with me to have like what me and her had. But I would never take something she's worked hard for and give it to some other woman.
But that's because you like mommy, and mommy was raised in a way to where she knew that if I wanted to have a good husband, I gotta have likable qualities. I have to be willing to bring something to the table. If you go upstairs and ask mommy right now, what do you bring to the table? She could write you a book about it.
Oh yeah.
She could write you a book about it, and then she'll still get up in front of a million people and say, I have a great husband who does everything I need him to, even though she brings stuff to the table. And the thing is, that's the type of woman that's married for 35 years, has a nice family, eventually gets this humongous house that we're living in and this Mercedes-Benz sitting in front of us. Those are the types of women that because that's what a family structure leads to. And it's like the whole idea of a family structure, and it's like a part of me wants to be like, well, maybe if these women had more fathers in their homes, but it's like at the same time, was your mother somebody who I could live with? And that's a different conversation they don't want to have. A lot of these fatherless homes come as a result of the fact that your mom is just not, and this isn't me taking away accountability, like the men who have a good woman and just choose to like be deadbeat dads, there's no excuse for that. But that's not always the case when the man's not there. Sometimes your mom is just impossible to live with. And that's what led to that. Sometimes your mom is telling you about how your dad ain't this, your dad ain't that because he walked out the door. Meanwhile, he has a whole happy family somewhere else, and nobody wants to address, well, is that the same man? Because you're telling me about this, that, and the third, but he just single-handedly put together a swing set for his daughter out in the backyard. Like he does everything he can for his second wife. Why didn't he do that for you?
Boy, that's a good point there. That's an excellent point. Is that one man who's a treasure to this woman was held to you.
He said he was going to get milk 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because your mom complains about everything. Like if I know, like if you and your significant other separate, you can't go to the child and start telling the child all these horrible things. They go and it's like they want the kid to pick sides. Like, oh, I want you to be on my side. I want you to hate your daddy as much as I do. And it's like maybe that energy is why you are in the position that you're in now. Maybe that petty gossipy stuff is why you're in the position you're in now. You want to sit like, why are you telling your kid, yeah, your dad cheated on me when he was 26 years old? Like, what are you hoping to accomplish from that?
Yeah, because hey, dad was 26 and immature, and if you'd have stayed around another 2 or 3 years, dad would have been building you a swing in the back, and dad would have been doing all these other things.
And that's not to say stick around. Well, that is kind of to say you got to stick around through bad situations. But it's like you weren't perfect neither, though. Like that's the thing. If you were 100% perfect and then he does something like that, then by all means, go. You know,
if a man you're with, and if that man is physically abusive, leave him. If that man is verbally abusive, leave him. But just to leave him because you can't have your way, you want something, and he say no, and that's not grounds to leave that man. And a lot of women, they leave good relationships, thinking because of other women, thinking that the grass is greener on the other side, and get out there and realize the septic tank burst in the other yard over there. That's why that grass is always green, because the septic tank done burst and water. It's just sewage there.
It's similar to how you got all these rapper girls rapper women, they'll be talking about do men like this, do men like that. If he don't want to drive, if he don't want to buy me a Birkin, this, that, and the third, and then they go to their happy relationships where they cooking their boyfriend breakfast every day. They're being so emotionally available to their boy, like they're literally living the exact opposite of what they're telling you to do. Yeah. And it's like men rappers get frowned upon for that, when a lot of the time it's like, oh, you rap about this thing everybody wants to hear about, but you're not actually risking your life every day to live that lifestyle. There's a problem. But for her to sit here and for Beyonce to make Single Ladies a wedding when she's married to Jay-Z, it's fine. That's fine. That's just entertainment. But it's like but then it's like, oh well, Rick Ross is making gangster music and he used to be a correctional officer. Then that's this huge problem. It's the same thing. All the art is art. You feel me? Music is music. Entertainment is entertainment.
And that's what it is, entertainment.
But the thing is, if you go find Rick Ross and you ask him, hey, what's the best lifestyle for me to live? He's not going to tell you to go sell drugs, sell crack. That's not what he's about to do. He's about to give you real life good advice. But these women, they lack the women in the mainstream, in the public. Like, you may have within your family these women, but when you turn on the TV, every woman is telling you to make decisions that's damaging to the family unit.
Well, the thing is, I just can't blame women entertainers for that. Men entertainers over the years been lying about, I'll pay your rent and I'll do all these things, I'll cook dinner, and just they've been lying about all those things that they're gonna do in order to sell records. And entertainers, that's what they're about. They're about selling records, men and women.
Okay, you're right about that. When I say what I'm saying, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just piggyback on it. The difference is, though, I know they're lying when they say this crap. Like, I don't listen to rappers and think that they're telling the truth. I mean, if I know a specific story that they're talking about and they have been arrested for it or on trial for it, then I will believe you. Anything short of that, I don't think these guys are telling the truth. Similarly to when I watch Vin Diesel in a movie holding a car by a piece of rope while he's driving with the other hand, I don't think he could really do that.
Can't do it.
And that's the difference. That's a good example. I'll sit down and I'll watch a whole action film and I will know that this is just entertainment and this is not real. Then a woman will watch a romantic comedy where Prince Charming does everything for Cinderella, who's really just some poor woman, and think, well, maybe I could get that. And it's like, imagine me thinking, yeah, maybe I can hold on to the side of the Burj Khalifa and get into it. That's the largest building in the world. And get into a fight with somebody like how Tom Cruise did in Mission Impossible. It's no, I'm not sitting here with the expectations that my life can reflect any of these movies that are geared towards me. Yet women, they see these things and they feel like I should be able to have all of this stuff. Unless it's like a movie where the woman had to go through turmoil for her husband. Like, I remember Tyler Perry released, Diary of a Mad Black Woman. And in the stage play, she stayed with her husband. You remember? But then in the film, movie, she didn't.
Yeah.
And I remember when Mommy watched the movie the first time, she's like, I'm kind of upset at the ending. Like, I liked it better that she stayed with her husband. And I didn't understand that. I didn't get that because I was like, her husband was a piece of crap, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, now that I get older, I understand that there was a message within there about the real world.
Yeah, that people change, and that's what happened. This husband's changed. He changed, even though he took her through pure hell, and he wanted to get rid of her. She didn't want to leave him. He got rid of her for another woman in that movie.
And then women will see that and be like, all right, well, if I do leave my relationship, I might find some guy with some fake braids. Like, those were the worst fake braids I ever seen in my life. I might find some guy with some fake braids that'll see me literally screaming for this man as he drags me out of my house, and he'll decide, okay, of all the women in the world, she's the one who I want. And not from a manipulative place where it's like, oh, I feel like she's easy money now because of her situation. No, I genuinely want to love you and care for you and marry you after seeing that. And it's like, maybe, but most likely that's not gonna happen. And there's nobody to like be honest with these women about what it takes to have a real relationship. Nobody's gonna be honest with you about the struggles. And that's the difference, because as a man, if you don't have men in your corner that are going to be honest with you about the struggles of the fact that you're going to have to forgive that woman for saying some things that you wouldn't have said to her, if you don't have a man in your corner to tell you that, hey, if she hits you, under no circumstances can you hit her back. And when she called her daddy, try not to beat the brakes off of this 60-year-old man. Like, if you don't have those men in your corner as a man, then you have the wrong men in your corner. And that's what I will stand on that forever. But women, they don't feel like they feel like they're being degraded by the women that'll tell them, like, yeah, it's not going to be easy all the time. He might not show up some nights when you didn't really, if you get him to a certain place, sometimes he's not going to come home, but it's for the best because that's his best way of handling things. He's not always out doing the wrong thing. Sometimes he's just out with his book. Sometimes it's not as bad as you think it is to work for a relationship. That is a message that women just they reject from one another. And then it's getting to the point where you're getting older and older women that just don't even feel the need to share that message. That message that it is difficult.
The thing is that if you had some of these 35 plus women, 35 years old plus women out there telling those younger girls how it really is once you get to that age, you'll see the change. But you find 40 and 50-year-old women who ain't never had a successful relationship still telling these young girls, you should do this, you should do that, I would do this, I would do that, and not letting them know this is how you're going to end up, though. And
they're the vocal majority. And the problem is they will tell them this is how you'll end up while they have on their business suits and all of their money in the bank from whatever they may have, like they will have all of these things that to them are successful to men without explaining that, like, that won't bring you happiness. Like, as a man, I want a lot of money so I can take care of women. Like, I want to be big and strong. I want to have influence so I could take care of my family, not just women, but like my family unit. Now, I don't have that expectation of you, and that should be a load off of your chest that you don't need to bring these things to the table. But they feel like, well, if I can bring these things to the table now, I no longer need to bring the feminine energy, the feminine benefits to the table. And that's a problem because we can't, if I wanted to date a man, then I would go do that. You know what I don't, but like, that's the problem. It's like they want to bring to the table what they want in a relationship as opposed to what the person they want to be in a relationship with wants them to bring to a relationship. And then they feel degraded. They feel abused if you have requirements of them.
Well, with black women, the one thing that I'm seeing happening in this society is this interracial thing to where black man has to have all these things in order to be with them. And the average white man, just because he's white, they accept him at face value as being all these things they want a black man to be, and even though he's not.
And my thing is, I don't think black women understand that a white man's typically not going to value, because the same way how we were built up and we were groomed to a certain extent by society, so are they. And it'll be very, very difficult to get a white man that's going to care about you as a holistic human being, like as a complex individual who is not just there to serve the purpose of having my babies or for when I need, like, to find one, and then they already don't want to feel the responsibility of having to build up relationships. And the thing is, me as a black guy, if I run into a white girl and she's like, oh my God, I love black guys, I'm not going to think you really love black guys. I'm thinking you love black penis. I'm going to think that you want to objectify me, and I might be willing to let you do that for the night. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to think that you're going to view me as a complex individual, that you're going to understand my struggles all the way, because we are just too very different. And it already, you probably fetishized me from the beginning. And black women got to understand, like, there's a lot to fetishize. Y'all are more attractive than white women. Like, y'all from a sexual perspective. Now, the thing is, y'all may also, in my personal opinion, be more complex individuals that have more to bring to the table than white women. But like, I was raised as a black man, so that's why I feel that way.
With a strong black woman.
Exactly. By a strong black mother. These white men weren't. So it's like, yeah, when you see him, he might be willing to spend this extra money on you and bring you around all his other friends like Chad and Brett. But like at the end of the day, you are at best a trophy 99% of the time.
And the ones who actually marry those black women are way more established and has more money than they do. Very seldom you find Kamala Harris, whose husband may have a little more than she has, but the rest of them, they the money makers in the relationship. Marlon, it's been good.
I was just about to say, we've been talking. I wanted to sit down here and talk for like 30 minutes, and then we ended up talking for about an hour.
Oh, yeah. It's been good. Hopefully something that we've said that it'll get the attentions of people. And hey, make sure you text us, email us or whatever. Hit it. Comment. Go into the comment and comment us and everything.
I'm not going to read it. Oh, he mentioned this earlier. I said I'm not going to let it get to me too much. Like we do have a clip on Facebook that's getting a little bit of attention. I think it was at 400 and some thousand views last time I looked at it. I'm not reading those comments. I'm sorry. That people don't feel the responsibility to be logical in the comment section. People see that we went through the whole process of putting up cameras, getting microphones, sitting here having intellectual dialogue forever, and then they feel like their opinion is just as significant because they sat down and typed 60 words. I'm not going to be a part of that. I'm sorry. But if you do have something constructive to say, then hey, it will probably come across my radar, and I'll be happy to, we could chat it up, but I don't want him to make you think that I'm just reading every single comment if you decide to be less than articulate.
All right. Mr. Jones, it's been a good one.
It's been a good one. And until next time, bye.